I know these might make me look like an arsehole, but they fit the topic. Alan Moore's one of those figures that, even if you aren't a fan of comics, you'll probably have heard something about him or his work. A critically acclaimed graphic novel here, character-defining run on a comic there, occasional singer, not for the best, but it kinda works. Hero for DC, Marvel, UK, and Image, the three main publishers. He also hates most of the adaptations of his work into movies, from Hell, V for Vertigo, Watchmen, and today's thing, Leave Extraordinary Gentlemen. I haven't seen the movie, but I've read the whole series, and I want to talk about it. The closest series I can really compare it to is Fables by Bill Willingham. The whole fiction is fact, let's shuffle the world around. It'll probably be annoying to use panels from the relevant issues because of the excessive bare breasts, and I don't think YouTube would like that. Hang on. Explicit content featuring the below policy violations could result in channel termination. Depiction of genitals, breasts, or buttocks, clothed or unclothed for the purpose of sexual gratification. Pornography or depicting of sexual acts, genitals, or fetishes for the purpose of sexual gratification of any kind, such as video, text, audio, images. Also banned is wanking, showing sex toys, incest, bestiality, any sex involving minors, animated porn, sexualized rape, voyeurism, and sex scenes from movies and games. Fun. I'll come back to this. I do like the series, not just for the sex scenes, but I like feeling smart when I get a reference, pretty much. I don't have a jokey sponsorship, fuck you. Let me summarise the series, using the different villains of the different volumes. Moriarty, the Martians, Jimmy Bond, I'll get to him later, the Antichrist, Aisha, and either Jimmy Bond or Prospero, depending on how you read it. The first volume begins in the mid-1890s, with Campion Bond, a fictional ancestor of Jimmy Bond, working under M, assembling a team of people to stop an evil Asian stereotype. They had Mina Murray from Dracula, Alan Quatermain from the Alan Quatermain books, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from the book of the same name, Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and Griffin, the Invisible Man from the Invisible Man. In this series, Mr. Moore, Alan, whatever the fuck, I don't have a consistent thing. I don't think I've mentioned him by name very much. Gives him the first name Hawley, after the serial killer Hawley Crippen, just because, I don't know, something. All of these characters are picked up from different areas, after just living their lives after their plots have ended. Captain Nemo is working for Campion, Mina is asked to join at the cliffs of Dover, Alan from an opium den in Egypt, Mr. Hyde from Paris, where he's recreating the murders in the Rue Morgue, and Griffin from a Catholic girls' school in Scotland run by a dominatrix, where he's raping the students while they think that he's the Holy Spirit. They attack Fu Manchu's headquarters, steal some cavorite from The Most Men in the Moon by H.G. Wells, and deliver it safely into the hands of their leader, M for Moriarty. Even if you don't know any of the other characters I mentioned, you've probably heard of Professor Moriarty, if only because of Andrew Scott. Who knows? Moriarty and Fu Manchu go to war, and the League attempt to prevent harm to the city by taking a balloon up to the airships and defeating Moriarty, who floated up into space, never to be seen again. Or maybe not, let's see. The end, but on the last panel. Let me try and find it. Capsules from space. I wonder where that's going to go. Woo. And also, in a previous issue, there was a newspaper headline about strange occurrences on Mars. Wonder what that could be about. Guess you'd have to find out. After that, as a backup feature, is Alan and the Sundered Veil, which I believe is Alan Quatermain, the time traveler from H.G. Wells, and someone else, like Carter of Mars or something, going up against Lovecraftian monsters. I can't go in depth on this, or even describe the plot at all, because to me it was boring as fuck. I feel like I should stop to explain the world at least a little. Pretty much every book, movie, radio series, comic strip, comic book, and piece of fiction is true in this world. All of the end of the world genre, or worlds that are completely separate from our own, So say, all of the end of the world genre and worlds that are completely separate from our own aren't true. Lord of the Rings wouldn't be, because it's a completely different world and set of rules, but say Harry Potter or Percy Jackson, something with a less overall size might be true. A kind of interesting aspect is that that satires of real people seem to substitute and replace the originals. So Charles Foster Kane from Citizen Kane is in this story as a replacement for William Hurst. The Russells by Eric Idle replaced the Beatles, and Adenoid Hinkle from Chaplin's Great Dictators, the leader of Germany in World War II. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name, so it's just this series is pretty much a team-up of public domain characters, but there'll be exceptions, which I might mention as I go, I don't remember. For example, Fu Manchu is still within copyright until 2029, and I'm sure there'll be people queuing up to make adaptations without having to pay for licensing the character. I didn't really like Fu Manchu as the villain, but I feel like I understand why he was included. And with that, Volume 2. Volume 2 is an adaptation of War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Mycroft Holmes, the older brother of Sherlock, has replaced Moriarty as M. This issue was released in 6 issues. This volume was released in 6 issues in 2002 to 2003. It features deconstructions of friendly animal stories like Rupert Bear and Wind in the Willows, the breaking of the team, a tripod destroying the train bridge, which is kind of cool, bleakness and depression, Mr. Hyde singing, and the rape of the only female character by the guy they all know was a rapist, but went, we caught him out in the act, he won't be bitter towards us at all, rule Britannia, and all that. Martian's Land. The League witness a full regiment enter, and 3 soldiers leave. Alan and Mina are told to go to Dr. Moreau from H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau to get a hybrid he was making, without being told what it was, them having sex in a bed and against a tree. A note about Mina: she almost always has a scarf or choker around her neck to cover up scars from Dracula, and she got turned on by this old guy licking them. Being delivered to the doctor at the... Hang on. A version of Rupert Bear shows up, delivers them to the doctor, who mentions that... who gives them the hybrid and says that he pays an old gypsy woman to have sex with Rupert Bear to come in. I mentioned the sex stuff a sec ago because like the last thing, I didn't do any planning on research. It's just what came to mind. I had the idea for a title of the video while I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Maybe out of fact. During this time, Hyde and Nemo were doing nothing. I think the Nautilus... Nemo has a submarine as a transport. Attacked a tripod in the Thames. Griffin, though, was being an absolute shit stain and made a deal with the Martians to help them take over the world, just to be a dick. Also, he raped Mina before she went to find Dr. Moreau with Alan. Hyde found out somehow and raped and beat Griffin to death in revenge because he had a crush on Mina. The hybrid is revealed to be a cross between Anthrax and Streptococcus. Hyde goes down fighting 3 tripods. Nemo abandons the League. Griffin dies on injuries from Hyde's rape. Mina leaves to join a women's commune in Scotland, leaving just Alan. Volume 2 both does a lot more and a lot less than Volume 1, which is the first in the series just had to establish the world and all that. The backup story for this volume is The New Traveller's Almanac, which I can talk about a lot more. It's a lot more interesting. Each issue had a different location as a focal point to make references off of. The British Isles, continental Europe, the Americas, Africa and the Middle East, Asia and the Australias, and the polar regions, all with references to works set in that location. The British Isles has a retelling of The Hunting of the Snark by Lewis Carroll, but with a bit of a more sinister tone. The Americas has mentions of an island of naiads who smoke and play bowling, with particular mention of one member named Lebowski, and a hallucination due to Cthulhu and the Great Old Ones, of a humanoid cat wearing a hat. It also mentions a pirate conference of all the famous pirate captains from books. Hook, Long John Silver, Guybrush Threepwood, who is on that poster behind me. That one there. Captain Blood. Europe has 4 castles in France mentioned. Homes of Bluebeard, the Beast, a deformed noble, a princess who sleeps for a long time, and Puss in Boots. 1, 2, 4. Africa and the Middle East has a post office system and Skull Island. Asia and the Australias has Sun Wukong and Violet Nipples. Finally, the polar regions has Toyland, ruled by Frankenstein's monster and his bride, a robot woman. It's a lot of clear references and more references that are more obscure. Not the third volume yet. I don't have this one. This is volumes 1 and 2, and then I've got volume 4 here. There was a storyline at the Black Dossier set in the late 50s, skipping for 60 odd years, with Alan and Mina continuing as the protagonists. This is explained through them finding a pond that grants immortality in Africa. The graphic novel is set in post-1984 Britain, like the George Orwell one. Explained as after World War II, Britain went far in the political system, ended up at totalitarianism, elected Big Brother and Ingsoc, and then collapsed within about 5 years. Alan and Mina try to regain a folder of historical documents from MI6 headquarters, the titular Black Dossier. M sends Emma Knight from The Avengers, the TV show in the 60s. Bulldog Hammond from Bulldog Hammond. And Jimmy Bond. Not James Bond. Why would you even think that? A British spy who fought an evil doctor in the Caribbean who uses lots of gadgets in his fighting. It's obviously Jimmy Bond. Who's James Bond? What are you talking about? This story is just a framework for world building, as the history of ancient Greek times to the modern day being included in the form of a comic strip, as a parody of I think the Trump comic strip. Not Donald, the magazine from the US, UK, as well as incarnations of the League with Don Quixote, Fanny Hill and the Scarlet Pimpernel in separate leagues. It also features a porno adaptation of 1984, a prose story where Cthulhu meets Jeeves and Wooster, and a fake Shakespeare play. Out of these, I'd recommend reading the framework and the comic strip timeline. The story also establishes the tech advances in the world, in so much that, as in the 50s, they have rockets to the moon. I think it was, I don't remember why, but I think it was about, they had a bunch of science fiction romance stories in the 50s that came out, and that's about why the stories are happening about when they were meant to be set. So the next volume has the subtitle Century. I don't have this one. It's on order. It's coming at some point. It's split into 3 parts. The first part being part 1, set in 1910 with the return of Jack the Ripper. Part 2 being set in 1969 with the Velvet Underground Rolling Stones stand in. And part 3 set in 2009 with as the main character, main bad guy. Wait too late. Find it. I don't know why the fuck I did that. That's just weird. Yeah. The whole storyline is Mina, Alan, and Orlando trying to stop the Antichrist from destroying the world. Real normal stuff for the 4th part of the series. You think about the 4th part of any series, like New Hope is don't have the Antichrist because I don't know what religions they have in it. Goblet of Fire. What are the 4th parts? Shrek 4, timelines. Doesn't matter. The first part has the radicalization of Captain Nemo's daughter. She was trying to go against the authority figures in her life. Jenny, that was her name, swam from the Indian Ocean to Britain. Got a job as a cleaner in a shore bar that Popeye went to. Got raped, not by Popeye. Maybe. I don't think so. Then destroyed the town using the Nautilus 2, the second one. It was just kind of made. Alan and Mina attempted to disband a cult, led by a replacement for Alistair Crowley, Oliver Haddo. The new member of the League, Orlando, is introduced. Orlando is a combination of most characters named Orlando in books. Immortal from ancient Greece, who randomly changes from man to woman and back, who's fought in most wars throughout history. Small Cat, the main character from a French erotic novel. I don't know why I did that. And one of the Knights of the Round Table. I like them. Them. I like them. Part 2 starts with the cult with the previous issue killing the lead named Basil Thomas in a Velvet Underground / Rolling Stones parody named The Purple Orchestra. I'm only mentioning his name because as I was writing this, I was just going he. And it was just a bit confusing, so I've included his name. This sets into motion the plot as they're trying to birth the Antichrist, having failed in America with a woman named Rosemary. Rosemary's Child, if you will. Haddo, the cult leader, that had died in 1947, but had put his soul into his second-in-command just to be a dick. That when they killed Thomas, who was in the pool with another band member who had Haddo's soul placed into his body, there was the he bit. It was just all he put his body in. This story is probably the most bland out of the three. It's okay, but I prefer the others. Mina, Alan, and Orlando, all being immortal, haven't changed. Mina goes to the concert for the death of the Purple Orchestra guy, gets given LSD by Tom Riddle, the one from Harry Potter? No, it can't be. The first Harry Potter book kind of came out, 1995? Can't be out of copyright, no. I mean, he said his first name was Tom, his middle name's a Marvel, and his last name's a Conundrum, and that he taught occult studies in a school up north from Hyde Park, but can't be him. Mina had a panic attack from a cloud of bats released, coupled with the LSD, and was sent to a mental hospital. Alan fell off the wagon, and Orlando just went to do other things, I guess. Part 3, 2009. This is the big one. Jack Dakar, the grandson of Captain Nemo, who's like a stand-in for Bin Laden or Saddam Hussein, is one of the main characters. Orlando comes back from the Iraq War, changes into a woman, then gets contacted by Prospero, which means that she needs to put on her fucking stupid-looking glasses. Hell yeah, because that's how they communicate. Because it's a weird thing. Oh well. Because Prospero just breaks into the world using magic, and it's got a weird 3D effect that doesn't particularly work, but kind of does. You just use 3D glasses on still images. It's just a bit like a blom instead of a... Orlando goes to MI5 and meets Emma Knight, who's aged normally, and who's probably the stand-in for Judi Dench's M. Emma is convinced to help Orlando in exchange for being told where the immortality pool is. Mina's still in the mental hospital after 40 years, where she's confusing all of the stuff because of her claim to have been born in the 1860s and probably some other stuff as well. Do you remember earlier I mentioned a school where Griffin was raping schoolgirls? Same place. Small world. Orlando and Mina meet up with Andrew Norton, who's a prisoner of London. He's not out of copyright. However, the author of the book is a friend of Alan Moore's and just went, yeah, sure, you can have him. It's a cool idea. He's a bit of an arsehole, but I like him. He's trapped within London. Not in time, though. He just watches events throughout time within London. Whenever he appears in the story, there's always a break of a page with breaking panels. It's just two characters having a conversation, and one person speaks, and then it's a cutaway to a historical moment with something changed, and then the other person responds, and then it's another cutaway, and my hand's out of frame. It's like, and then he's in the frame. So for one of them, it's like Mina and Orlando are having a chat, and then it's Boudica getting killed, and then Mina responds, and then it's something in the 1984 world, and then Orlando says something in response, and then he's there, and he's just really cryptic. It's weird. He shows them a secret entrance inside a London train station to a secret platform with a train to a magic school. The train, however, has skeletons fused to it. If you haven't guessed, it's Harry Potter. Alan Moore, I guess, didn't like him, but let's see. He's been seen a couple of times as one of Alan Quatermain, not Moore, has been seen a couple of times as one of those guys selling a magazine to help the homeless. I just thought I should mention him because he's one of the protagonists. Mina and Orlando take the train through to the school, which has been destroyed. And oh shit, is that Thomas? What the fuck did Thomas do? Is Thomas evil? No. What did Alan Moore have against him? What? The story with the destroyed Hogwarts and Hogwarts Express is that Harry Potter got peeved about the adventures he was having to go on and used magic to shoot up the school, and then goes and hides in 12 ruined place. There's been I'm going to say more, because if I say Alan, you might be thinking it's Alan Quatermain, but it isn't. So Mr. Moore, I guess, is trying to use political commentary about school shootings. Woo! known for his political commentary. He did Watchmen and V for Vendetta, and yeah, that's the big ones that I can think of. And are really big on the messaging. Orlando, with Excalibur, which he took, she, in that time as a he, took from Arthur's tomb because a bit of an asshole, and Mina go to fight Harry, who grows to a giant size with eyes all over his body like Argus from Greek myths, and get bodied. It's like, absolutely. Go charge, and they're like... Alan shows up with a shotgun who's going to use to kill himself, shoots Harry, and then gets electrocuted by lightning coming out of Harry's dick. Classy. Mina and Orlando call Prospero for help, and a woman with a bird-headed umbrella descends from the sky, and it's great. I love it. I mean, you know that I'm like the Antichrist and everything. I'm well famous, actually. I'm in a book of the Bible. Harry breathes fire at her, and she just walks through it. She turns him into a chalk drawing and makes rain to wash him away. It's great. It's somewhat of an anticlimax, but it's great. I love it. Who's done all those things that she said could turn people into chalk drawings and cause rain? Who works in mysterious ways? Like Mina said. God? Mary Poppins? How about both? Just slap them together. It'd be fine. She leaves, taking Riddle's head. Oh, yeah. Harry beheaded Riddle and took it in a bird cage number 12. Emma Knight shows up to help him out. They go to Africa to bury Alan in a grave that was already there from when he pretended to die almost a century beforehand. The last panel is a group of graves with a lion in the clouds. The end of Volume 3. The backup story for this series is Minions of the Moon, a pro series about a civil war on the moon that Alan, Mina, and Orlando are sent to quell. It's also got the return of Moriarty, who is being used as an unwilling sperm donor. I don't have much to say about it. It's got the Watcher from Marvel in it, kind of, but they can't use his real name, so it's just like the Voyeur, I think. No. The next edition is the Nemo trilogy, which follows stories in the life of Jenny. Remember her? Maybe? She was the one from 1910. The main villain is Aisha, who's an immortal from the Alan Quatermain series. The first is The Heart of Ice, which I also have on order. It's coming at some point, I found. Which is Jenny and her crew racing some racist inventors in 1921 to the Mountains of Madness from Lovecraft in Antarctica. It's also got some evil killer penguins, which is fun. The second is Roses of Berlin, which has Jenny's daughter being kidnapped by the World War II German equivalents in 1941. Jenny attacks, and there's an extended reference to Lang's Metropolis, but it's set a millennium in advance, because in the film I think it's meant to be set in the 2050s, 2090s maybe? But in this case it's set in like 1940 something. It is fun, I like it. The backstory here is that the Germans saw the League and went, that's probably a good idea, and just made their own. Dr. Caligari, from the cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Dr. Mabuse, the Dr. Mabuse series, who's a secret eye of Jenny, but they're not meant to know that yet. Dr. Rotwang, who designed the Metropolis, and Maria, the android from Metropolis. If you don't recognise the Metropolis from the movie, you might know it from, I think it was in Radio Gaga, the Queen music video. I don't know why I'm staring that way, the camera's on that side of the phone. There's also a Terminator 3 reference, I think. Not entirely sure. It's got I don't remember. The final part is named River of Ghosts, and it's set in 1975 on the Amazon River. It's got clones of Hinkle and Aisha, as well as Hira's son Jack. Remember the Bin Laden equivalent from the 2009 one. Jenny plans to destroy the whole cloning facility, but Jack enters and tries to save the youngest clone of Aisha because he thinks that she's young enough that she might be taught that's not a good thing to do, that killing people isn't a good thing. She betrays him, and Takarigwa, I think that's how you pronounce it, I have no idea actually, A future Mr. Ishmael, a pseudonym for the first mates of the Nautilus, rescues him. Also the fembots from Austin Powers. In my opinion, Heart of Ice is the worst, River of Ghosts is the second best, and Roses of Berlin is the best. It's just kind of interesting. Now that I think about it more, I may put River of Ghosts at the top, but I'm not sure. This will be expanded later. Final volume. Woo! Might not have actually got. Volume 4, The Tempest. This is in reverse, and I don't know how to reverse it in any editing software. So, and also there's a woman in a bikini, but I don't know if that's bad or not. Okay, this will probably be fine. This is a combination of everything that came before, so it can be assumed to be a planned finale. Okay. There's a lot. I've written a lot for this one, I think. Probably more for Century because it had more going on, but I've written quite a bit for this one. Due to Emma's helping of Mina and Orlando at the end of Century, and then leaving to use the immortality pool, Jimmy Bond, remember him from Black Dossier? You might not, he's not that important yet, becomes the new M. Security cameras pick up Emma after he's rejuvenated, so he leaves with the J series of agents to investigate. The J series is a result of the apparent popularity of the idea of a British super spy, with MI5 or 6, I don't remember, finding a replacement agent every few years, with the agents resembling the actors in the real-world movie series. So you've got Sean Connery, you've got Jimmy Bond as the original, from like 1940-something. You've got J1, who's Sean Connery, J2, who's George Lazenby, J3, who's Roger Moore, J4, who's Timothy Dalton, J5, who's Pierce Brosnan, J6, who's Daniel Craig, and that's it. Jimmy rejuvenates himself, nukes the pool so that no one else can use it, then leaves to read the Black Dossier, from the Black Dossier. He then goes and nukes the Blazing World, which is the key stronghold of all magic in Britain. Well, lads, I think we've just fucked Fairyland. You know what? With a bit of luck, we could be back in London in time for breakfast. Also, Finn McMissile and Austin Powers are being studied in MI5. It was a bit horrifying for Finn McMissile to be in that world at that time. Prospero reversed the effects of the nuke and then just declares war on the human world. It's releasing all of the chaotic forces on Earth, like King Kong, a bunch of vampires, the Demogorgon, Cthulhu in New Zealand, and the creatures from Alice in Wonderland. The Earth begins to collapse and fall apart. Societally? Not literally. While Jack, the current Captain Nemo, you know him, I've mentioned him a couple of times, Orlando, Mina, and Emma take their places aboard Jack's spacecraft Nautilus. Stowed away, though, is Jimmy. The backup story and main story crossover, with one of the characters from the backup telling the protagonist about the future of the Earth, endless invasions, and war. The main characters leave. Jimmy gets destroyed by Emma in 5 moves. Daleks, Skynet, the apes from Planet of the Apes, nude Amazons from the moon, all invade Earth and the other human colonies. The series ends with Mina and a clone of Mr. Hyde dancing on an interstellar base. Kind of nice. The backup story is a 50s superhero comic parody with a team of 7 heroes, with Mina pretending to be an invisible man. It's bland. There's nothing else to say. Also, the Americans fake their superheroes to try and keep up with the British, French, and German leagues. That's just kind of an interesting concept. And that's the series, all of it. Again, I can't talk about the movie because I haven't seen it. I do have something else about an Alan Moore adaptation. In the V for Vendetta movie with Natalie Portman and the guy is from... He's in Lord of the Rings and Matrix. Hugo Weaving. Stephen Fry, who I love, he's great. Plays talk show host. He had an interview with someone about the movie in the promotion of it, where he was asked, interviewer, so what appealed to you about the role? Stephen, being beaten up. I haven't been beaten up in a movie before, and I was very excited about the idea of being clubbed to death. And that's just nice for him. I had the thought that since Mr. Moore, Alan, whatever the fuck, who knows what he wants to call him, hates most adaptations of his work, from Hell, LXG, as the Americans shortened it, this is LXG. V for Vendetta, Watchmen, and most likely didn't like The Killing Joke because of what they did to Barbara. He continued this series as a deliberate fuck you to the studios, bringing in more and more references until it's just a clusterfuck of rights issues. So many references that he sees the annotation books written by a fan to be a necessary organic place in the body of work itself. Just a moment. Mr. Moore, if your comic needs an official reference person whose job it is to go through and chronicle all the obscure references that you've made in your series, you've probably gone too far. Thanks. The order that I'd rank the comics and backup stories would probably go 7 stars monthly, the backup story for the Tempest. Alan and the Sundered Veil and Minions of the Moon are last because I haven't read them. They're all in last place. It just wasn't interesting. Heart of Ice is probably 9th. It's just not as good. Volume 1 is 8th. It's not bad. It's just it has to set up the world. River of Ghosts is 7th. The Black Dossier is 6th. Roses of Berlin is 5th. Volume 4, Tempest, is 4th. Volume 2 is 3rd. The New Traveller's Almanac is 2nd. And Volume 3, Century, is 1st. I really like it. It's a cool idea. I had the idea, at some point, if they were rebooting the movie, who would be playing the characters based on the latest adaptations of the work? Mina Murray. I went through the main league. I'll continue in a bit. Mina Murray would be played by Sarah Gadden, who played her in Dracula Untold in 2014. She might work. I don't know. The only role I've seen her in is Beth in Total Drama. Alan Quatermain would be played by Sam Worthington, who would have played him in the probably cancelled King Solomon's Mines movie announced in 2010. He'd probably work. I don't remember. I've seen Avatar and I've seen Paper Planes, and I think that's all I've seen Sam Worthington in. I've probably seen him in other stuff as well. I just don't remember. Captain Nemo would probably be played by Shazad Latif. I should have looked up how to pronounce his name. I forgot. Who's going to play him in the Disney Nautilus series? I've only heard his voice in Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, but and I don't know who he is. I can't tell some of the characters apart in that. Griffin would probably be played by Oliver Jackson Cohen, I guess, having most recently played an Invisible Man in The Invisible Man from 2020, if that counts as an adaptation. Again, I haven't really seen him in anything. Finally, is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I guess it's Russell Crowe from Tom Cruise's The Mummy from 2017. Then there'd be the original team with them fighting Moriarty. The latest live-action adaptation with Professor Moriarty was Holmes and Watson, with Ralph Fiennes playing Moriarty. However, I'll suggest Anthony Higgins, who played him in Young Sherlock Holmes from 1985. Did I mention the other thing I was wanting to? No. Originally, I just casted the main league. I was moving rock melons at work. Trust me, don't ask, it's okay. And I had the thought that I should probably do the villains and some of the other characters as well. The next villains would be the Martians, CGI, or more interesting, puppetry. I want to see them do it and just take it completely seriously. Orlando, I don't think has been adapted before, so you just want to choose someone with non-gender specific looking to play them, so that they can just like makeup and whatever the fuck it is, they can just play up one side or the other. Jimmy Bond as an old man could probably be played by the oldest surviving Bond actor, George Lazenby from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, who hasn't really done that much acting since. He was in Bond. He's been in a bunch of documentaries about Bond, and he was in like an Australian TV show from 2014, I think. I haven't seen it. As a younger man, when he'd been regenerated, or in Black Dossier, he was played by one of the main picks that people are throwing around since No Time to Die came out, like Tom Hiddleston, Tom Holland, Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, Richard Madden, etc. I don't care. Emma. Oh God, let's do Emma. The older version could be played by Judi Dench, as that's who her M was based on. It could be Uma Thurman, as she played her in the 1998 Avengers movie. Could be Elizabeth Shepherd, who was originally cast in Emma Peel in the TV show, but it's viewer choice. If I can make a poll after this goes live, I might, just to gauge opinions, or just not. I don't have enough audience. The younger version, I have no idea. They just need to look like they could defeat whoever's cast as Jimmy in 5 moves. Fu Manchu. Yikes. The latest adaptation was Nicolas Cage in Grindhouse from 2007. Probably a bad idea in 2020, so I'm going to refer back to myself. I don't care. Please don't just make it a stereotype if this existed, which it probably won't. Please don't just make it Harry Potter as the Antichrist would instinctually go to Daniel Radcliffe. Probably. Duh. But he might be a bit old, so I don't know how old he is. He's like mid-30s. Probably be okay, but... the last character I had written down was Prospero, until I just checked, just being inaccurate, as it was while I was writing this, which was like the end of January 2022. I didn't know there was an adaptation of The Tempest in 2010 with Helen Mirren playing Prospero. This could work, but when I had the idea to cast one of the more recurring characters, hey look, I did mention it while moving rock melons at work. I was like a classical Shakespearean actor, like I think Patrick Stewart or Jude Law. However, I would say someone who has more experience playing a hero in their own mind, villain, and of playing a wizard who knows more than everyone else on the board. Ian McKellen. He's a good actor. He's a really fucking good actor. This is known. Now, what I know you've all been waiting for, on the edge of your seat, right on the edge of yourself, but that feels weirdly sexual, waiting for me to come back to this. It's the band's checklist. Right at the start of the video, I checked the YouTube community guidelines for band topics and visuals. The list was as follows: no genitals, no breasts, no butts, no porn, no fetishes, no sexual acts, no wanking, no sex toys, no incest, no bestiality, no pedophilia, no animated porn, no sexualized rape, no voyeurism, and no sex scenes from movies and games. Genitals, breasts, and butts are in pretty much every issue at least once. Porn and sexual acts are knocked off the list due to a Fanny Hill fanfiction sequel being part of the Black Dossier. Bestiality is in Volume 2 with Rupert Bear, who was originally a bear having sex with the old gypsy woman. No sex scenes in movies and games probably passes due to it being the written medium, drawn medium, same as animated porn. Alan Moore might have a thing for rape, however. In the 3 times it came to mind, it's not in the panel. Mina's by Griffin, Griffin's by Hyde, and Janny's by Dock Workers. Also, he wrote Lost Girls, which is about Dorothy Gale, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and Wendy from Peter Pan. Having sex with lots of people, and it's really disgusting. I read it, I don't know why, it's just really... not a fan. In a fell swoop, the last one, sex with minors and pedophilia, as Jenny was 14. I guess that's voyeurism. I guess that voyeurism is off the list due to Uatu, the Watcher from Marvel, being in the series as the voyeur. Potentially Mina's thing from having people lick and bite her scars could be a fetish. So out of the topics mentioned, sex scenes and animated porn get a pass due to the medium. Of course, it's going to get a pass because it's not in the movie or a game or anything. Wanking, sex toys, and incest get a pass because I can't remember any times where it happened. This segues nicely into the first annual What the Fuck Ship Award, and the winner is Gigan from Godzilla and Marceline from Adventure Time. Great job, Hot Gun from DeviantArts. Why was I on DeviantArt? Fuck you. Can't see my finger. Fuck you. Who's the target audience for this? Victorian era characters in a modern setting with constant references to pop culture from the last, thousands of years. And my main conclusion is that the main audience is Alan Moore fans. And me. I wouldn't class myself as an Alan Moore fan. V for Vendetta is okay. Watchmen, I get bored with in like issue 9. The fan content for this series isn't fan art of the characters, at least not the interesting pieces. The fan content is people choosing a time and a place and making a league for then and there. It's really, it's cool. For example, if you look up League of Extraordinary fan leagues on Google Images, or any images, I don't care. There's a league for America in 1996 with Edward Scissorhands, Rufus, Bill and Ted, and Dana Scully, with others that I don't recognise. There's one for America in 1963 with Kato from Green Hornet, and that's the only one I recognise. There's a more modern day one for America with Lara Croft, John Wick, and Rick and Morty. There's an official April Fool's Day thing for 1988 in America with Doc Brown, MacGyver, B.A. Baracus from 18, and Lisa from Weird Science. There's a Soviet Union one from whenever one of the characters has a time machine. It doesn't really matter where it's set. With I should have checked about how to pronounce these names. I think I'm about right. Fyodor Ivanovich Sokov, Max Otto von Sterlitz, Nia, an android, and Alice Selezneva, who has a time machine. This is to say that the fan work doesn't seem to take into consideration copyright law, and that I have made a league of my own. I've no idea who the villain would be, and this will be an insight into what TV shows and movies I watch. Chef Hatchet from Total Drama, Dirk Gently, the Samuel Barnett one, Adam from Good Omens, who I guess would be older and wiser with his powers, and also he has a hellhound, Kit Snicket from Series of Unfortunate Events, which I might not be able to work because it's in a weird sort of anachronistic universe, so who knows. Xavier? Not Xavier, because there's no X, who believes himself to be Don Quixote, from the man who killed Don Quixote. This could be interesting if you ever met Orlando, if it was real, who knew the real Don Quixote, with like a consultant being Professor Calculus from Adventures of Tintin. Nothing will ever come from this, so it's okay. What else? Oh, right, the original idea for the video. Like I was like, I mentioned earlier that I came up with the idea of the video laying in bed trying to go to sleep, was the title, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Collectathons. In so much as comparing the references to all the different references to games like Super Mario Odyssey and Spyro the Dragon. I've only included games that I've played. And contrasting it with pop culture echidnas, I'm not sure if that's the right sort of phrasing, but I think it is. Like Space Jam 2, Ready Player One, The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Love your work, Neil. And Shrek to a lesser extent. This didn't go anywhere because I didn't have a main point to go to. So the video just evolved into me. I want to talk about the series because I really like the series. In conclusion, my favourite reference in the series is that a character named Jim Morgan had a brother named Jet, who was a pilot of spacecrafts. You can draw a direct line between that and Journey into Space, which is one of my favourite pieces of media ever. It's a sci-fi radio show from the early 50s, and it's great. If you want more on that, subscribe, comment, like, whatever the fuck YouTubers say here. Like, go down to my Patreon to do that. I don't have one. I kind of want to do a full breakdown of the series, every reference, or at least all the ones that I can get. The only one I don't have either with me or coming is Black Dossier, so fuck's sake. I do kind of want to make videos, so I've got a list on my phone. Hey look, there it is. There's my phone. Under the banner of something, because I don't have ideas for titles, and having a cohesive format might be a good thing. Pretty much it'd be me talking about comics, TV shows, music, anything like that I enjoy. Also, it's got Todd Howard the musical on it, but I'm not a musician and I don't know anything about the guy. I just thought it was a cool title. I've been writing something else, this time about Dirk Gently, the Douglas Adams character, just everything he's been in and all the stories he's been in and all the adaptations. I'm currently up to the last episode of the BBC series, with the comics BBC America series with Elijah Wood and the fan fiction to go. And I like the idea of talking about fan fiction or fan art or whatever format it is for the topics covered. But who knows? I mean, I'd read quite a bit of average quality fan fiction and quite a bit of good fan fiction. But I don't continue unless I'm invested, so I guess it could work. Volume 1, pretty good. Volume 2, good. Glasses are weird. I didn't have to buy these glasses by themselves. This came in a plastic case because it had the glasses in the front cover. And it's just fucking weird. It's great. I love it. I don't have anything else by. So I'm going through editing, finding all the pictures that I need. Go on YouTube just to find something to watch in the background. Oh, what do I see? A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen video, which is like an hour and a half long, which covers everything. So I uploaded 13 days ago. I haven't watched it. I'm not going to watch it until at least after I've uploaded mine. So I'm probably just going to put this at the end or somewhere else.